Now, farmers are descending on Whitehall today for the third time in as many months, and we all here, I suspect, know that the Government's proposals to change both APR and BPR, not forget, have been an exercise in failure, a failure in political judgment, communication, and based on the latest OBR analysis, not even going to achieve policy outcomes either. And I know that there have been suggestions from a number of members around different ways of mitigating this impact, but I point out today that there was a report that £500 million is being spent in costs to HMRC, additional costs in recouping tax, and that, funnily enough, is the same as the £500 million that this policy is estimated to bring into the Treasury. So maybe we need less loopholes, simpler tax, and a way to help working people in this country. I want to raise an issue that a number of members have raised, including the member of the Select Committee, which is about agricultural tenancies and particularly their impact in Scotland. Now, agricultural tenancies have an inheritable value. There are circumstances where a tenancy can be passed on via will, the rules of intestate, or some conditions as a lifetime gift. But this is not purely a Scottish occurrence, but it is many times more common in Scotland because of the Agricultural Holdings Scotland Act 1991. And any tenancy which this law applies to can be passed on by the tenant as part of their estate. The tenancy is valued per acre as the difference between market rates and what the actual rent is, because these tenancies have much lower preferential rates. And according to the CAAV, and I know they've written to the Chancellor about this, it means that the average value of lowland arable land, for example, would be £3,000 to £4,000 per acre, and I'm grateful to them for explaining it. That means a tenancy of 300 acres breaches the APR threshold and they start paying APR, and that's before taking into account the value of machinery. Whilst we've heard broad concerns about the future of farms if they're forced to sell land piecemeal, this just isn't an option available to tenant farmers. Now, it's complicated and it's technical, but I do think the Government just haven't thought about the impact on Scottish tenant farmers. I've raised this 4 times in the last 3 months, both at Scotland Office questions and indeed the urgent question that the Minister replied to a couple of weeks ago, and I got platitudes. I don't think they have looked at this at all. And I'm conscious that we are talking about farmers and this perception that farmers are wealthy. I think we've made it clear in the Chamber today that this is about people who have cash held in their land, but they cannot release that without selling it. But I just want to conclude, Dr Murchison, by saying the last constituent I spoke to last week, who was a farmer, was previously a tenant farmer, had bought her farm 8 years ago with her family under a mortgage, and is now transitioning from working tax credits to universal credits. We need to deal with that myth, and I urge the Government to pause this policy.